Today, I'm going to be upgrading my Quefrency Rev 2 keyboard build from last year by replacing the PCB and giving it an overall new look and feel. I'm also going to be checking out the Pixel Pals keycap set sent to me from Personal Loot, which is currently in group buy until December 1st. I'll be leaving a link to everything in the collection below, but I also received a pink Tamagotchi keys resin artisan keycap made by Caps and a Pixel Pals themed cable with both coiled and straight cable varieties. I'll be showing off more details for everything here soon, but I'm very excited about everything included here. In case you don't remember or haven't seen the build video, this is my Quefrency Rev 2 build, which is a split keyboard with a 60 to 65% layout. I built it using a custom stacked acrylic case I bought from SM Keyboards, but when I worked on it last year, I had a hand injury, so some of the switches aren't working on this PCB due to some soldering issues. It's been a while, so I wanted to finally fix it up and give it a little makeover. I have a new palm plate, plate foam, a new PCB, and even a rotary encoder this time around, so to get started, I put down my rose pink American Haptics Workmat. I grabbed my Fanttik E1 Pro mini precision screwdriver and got to work opening up the keyboard case to grab the PCB sandwich, since this is the main part I'll be replacing for the build. I want to keep the same layout for the upgrade, so I'll be keeping the old PCB around for reference during the soldering process. I went ahead and opened up the bag with the new plate and plate foam and brought out my new tweezer kit that I bought from the Keydot company. I picked out a pair of tweezers so that I could remove the protective film on the plate, since this is a laser cut acrylic sheet. Here's how the plate looks so far. Before I begin the actual assembly process, I need to break off the macro pad on the left side of the PCB, since this case was not made for the macro pad version. To do this, all I have to do is carefully snap it off with my hands. For stabs, I'll be using TX stabilizers this time. I bought this set from PK Keyboards, and you can get 5% off of your order by using my code Mochi. I went with the version with white housings, and because this is a split keyboard, I'll only be using 4 2U stabilizers in total. These stabs come already pre-assembled, so I will need to take them apart in order to lube them. I brought out my switch keys brush kit to grab a brush and 205G0 that I'll be applying from my Kinetic Labs palette. I didn't want to bore everyone with the time lapse of the lubing and reassembly process, so I did all of that off camera. Now that they're ready to use, all I had to do was clip them into the PCB, since TX stabs do not require screws. I did use a pair of tweezers to help me squeeze the clip into place, but overall, I really like these stabilizers because they're really easy to use and install. After that, I added the included stab poppers to each side on the back to reduce the chances of wire pop out. Don't be like me and accidentally cut your finger on it. I'll now be wearing a band-aid for the rest of the build, but definitely be careful when working with sharp pieces of plastic. Don't forget that I like to lube the wires with my Grease Syringe Kit later on, so I'll be skipping that step for now. Otherwise, here's how the stabilizers look after installing them. For switches, I'll be using Strawberry Milk ice switches sent to me from Dane Keebs. I went with the linear variety and lubed these with 205G0 with GPL 105 on the springs. These come in the collectible milk bottle as well for orders of 70 switches or more. Strawberry Milk ice switches are in collaboration with TechC and feature a fully transparent housing composed of a new formula called Ultra Clear Nylon. The stem is made of palm, and yes, these switches do contain 100% thock. The PCB for the Quefrency Rev 2 requires soldering, so now I'll get ready for this portion of the build. I'll also be putting on my respirator and safety goggles for the process. I shouldn't have done this step first because now the PCB won't be able to sit flat while soldering in the switches, but I went ahead and soldered in the rotary encoder into the right side of the keyboard. Here's how it looks so far. Like I mentioned earlier, I'll be using the old PCB for reference for the layout, so I'll be keeping it close by. I added a few switches to the plate, placed down the plate foam, and added the plate on top, applying light pressure to make sure everything was in place. Next, I used my soldering iron to solder the first few switches in. I decided to start out with only a few to ensure everything lined up okay, then added more as I went. After I finished this side of the keyboard, I plugged in a USB-C cable and opened up VIA to test all the switches out. Since everything was lining up in the keyboard checker, I moved on to the left side of the keyboard. For the left side, I did the same exact thing and started out with only a few switches after placing my plate foam on the PCB. This side doesn't have a rotary encoder, so it was a lot easier to solder since I was able to lay the entire PCB sandwich flat. After soldering all the switches in place, I tested this side out in via 2. Seeing that everything was soldered in okay, I went ahead and unplugged the USB-C cable, cleaned up a bit, then brought out the keyboard case. I used my mini precision screwdriver again to open up the case, and after removing the top layers, I placed my PCB sandwiches on the standoffs. Then I closed everything back up. Now that the case and PCB are finished, I'll be removing my Workmat. I'm really happy with how the process has gone so far, and I love seeing the case with some new switches. Last time I built this, I did not add a knob, but I'm so glad I went with this option this time around. I'll go ahead and add the knob I have to the rotary encoder. At this point, I want to go ahead and use my Grease Syringe Kit from the Keydot company to lube my stabilizer wires. If you want to check this kit out, make sure to find the link down below and use my code Mochi for 5% off. As I applied the grease to each wire, I used my stem holder to help me move the grease around inside. Finally, it's time to add the keycaps. I'm so excited about the Pixel Pals key set from Personal Loot because it was designed by one of my mutuals, Pink Pothos. This is a cute digital themed PBT set with a cherry profile, and it features a creamy base, dark blue mods, and a mix of pink and green accents. It's considered to be an all-in-one kit, which makes it compatible with most keyboard layouts. The keycaps are packaged extremely well in a wonderfully designed box, and I think they'll match the blue keyboard case quite nicely. Before I get started with adding the keycaps, I'm gonna add my Artisan, which is the pink Tamagotchi's Artisan made by Matcaps. You can find it on the Personal Loot website, and it also comes in green. This isn't the first time I've gotten an Artisan keycap from this artist, but everything I've bought from them so far has been really cute, amazing, and well made. This one in particular looks super cute on the escape key. As I add the rest of the keycaps, I was really liking how these switches were feeling already, and I got a chance to admire the keycap set up close. As you can see, these keycaps also were designed using a digital Latin font with matching hiragana sublegends. There's also so many fun novelties, and I had a lot of fun mixing and matching everything. The Pixel Pals keycap set is also ISO compatible, and overall, it's a pretty large kit that covers most sizes and layouts, including this one. I'm always a fan of sets that work on multiple keyboards in case I want to use it elsewhere. Finally, here's the finished keyboard. I had a great time working on this build, and I'm really happy with the final result. I love the build I had before, but sometimes it's nice to change things up, especially since I didn't have full use of the keyboard previously. If you aren't familiar with the Quefrency keyboard, because it has a split layout, it does need a cable to link both halves together. For the Pixel Pals USB-C cables from Personal Loot, I wanted to test out both cables since the split layout might make it difficult to use one over the other. I also want to point out that there is a USB-C port to connect the keyboard to your computer on both sides of the keyboard, so there is some flexibility there. Because of the TRRS cable being in the way, I think I'm going to be using the straight cable for this keyboard, but both versions look really great with the key set, and it's nice to see how well they complement each other. Overall, I had a lot of fun working on this Quefrency Rev 2 build, and the results came out even more perfect than I had anticipated. If you haven't guessed by now, this keycap set is based off of the Tamagotchi, which is super nostalgic for me to think about because they were super popular when I was a kid. The whole vibe of those childhood memories is exactly what I think of when I look at this keycap set. Aside from the design itself, I actually do think this is a quality product, and all the legends are very crisp and the colors are vivid. Again, I loved how this was packaged, and even the keycap trays are very nice as they weren't flimsy at all. I also think the box feels premium, and the amount of novelties included are a nice bonus. The Pixel Pals keycap set starts at $91 USD, which includes tax, and I'll be leaving a link below. In addition, you can also purchase the Tamagotchi's Artisan made by Matcaps alongside the keycap set in either pink or green. The pink colorway on my Artisan matched the pink featured in the keycap set perfectly. All profits that the artist earns from the pink Tamagotchi's keycap sales will go towards the treatment and care of their mother. I'll be leaving a link to those as well. As for the switches, I always love the sets that Dang Keebs comes out with, and I'm definitely a fan of these strawberry milk ice linears. Again, these do come in a tactile version as well, which I've heard fantastic things about. After lubing my set, they feel super smooth, and I do agree that they are very thocky. This is my first time trying the transparent nylon material, and I can definitely say I like these as much as the opaque nylon housings, which is one of my preferred materials. Thank you again to Dang Keebs for sending these out to me. Finally, I'd like to mention again that the Pixel Pals keycap set and the matching accessories, including the cables and the artisans, are currently in group buy, which will end in just a couple of days on December 1st. You can also find a matching desk mat and wrist rest on their website. If you like the keycap set and the extras you're seeing in the Pixel Pals collection, you can actually purchase everything as a bundle, which will save you 10%. I know it's been a while since I last posted a full build video, but things got incredibly busy these past few months. I'm working on posting videos consistently again, so I appreciate all of you who have stuck around. I've actually been filming my builds this entire time, but the editing process can take a while, but I'm really excited to share what I've been working on. Thank you again to Personal Loot for sponsoring this video, and thank you all again for your support and for watching.